This is News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Good afternoon and welcome to Live at 4.
Seems like fall probably finally fell into our lap here. Let's go look at your first storm forecast with Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington. Alex, do you concur?
I totally concur. Summer last week, and you know it is a sure sign of fall if we can look behind me when we get our Halloween decor out here. We got our kitties here out here with our pumpkins, and it feels like fall across southern Wisconsin. We even have some cool, chilly showers right now. If we take a look at radar 3000, they are to the east of Madison, and with the cool temperatures we're expecting tonight, don't be surprised to get a couple more sprinkles, showers, maybe a flurry or two, but we're not expecting any accumulation. We're only at 50 degrees. This is the first time I'm sporting a jacket out here on the patio since last spring. Northwest breezes at 12 miles per hour puts that fall-like feel in the air. 50 in Madison, 49 to the west, upper 40s to the west, right around 50 to the east in Dane County, the rest of southern Wisconsin. Middle 40s off towards Lake Michigan. We've got some low 50s, 50 degrees, both tied in Boscobel and in Lone Rock. But what a difference a swing in temperatures have made just in a couple of days, which we said last week it was going to happen. Frost advisories through Tuesday morning west of Madison. Then we have freeze warnings west of Madison currently issued through Wednesday morning. And we have a freeze watch for south central Wisconsin. Coming up in Maine weather, we're going to track the coldest of the temperatures. Which night will be the coldest? And when can you expect 70-degree weather again? I have all those details in a bit.
Alex, thank you very much. We are less than a month away from Election Day, and Democrats are doubling down on efforts to secure the so-called blue wall states. Today, Tim Walz is in Eau Claire and Green Bay, and Dr. Jill Biden is in Madison for the Harris campaign.
And as the candidates are coming through, Tim Walz sat down with political reporter Will Keneally for an exclusive one-on-one interview. Will?
Well, that's right. From the camo hats to the shots of Walz walking his dog, Democrats are really leaning into the Midwestern branding for the Minnesota governor. And that Midwestern imagery can be important. Back in 2020, for example, The Onion ran a spoof article of Craig Culver's threatening any candidate that did not eat at his franchise. But with another Midwesterner like J.D. Vance on the ballot this fall, we asked Walz how he plans to contend with that. How do you win the Midwest there?
Look, I come from this area. Kamala Harris grew up in a middle-class family. I think we're making the case middle-class families, whether they're in the Midwest or the Southeast, the Northeast, or the West, they care about things like health care. They don't want to see Donald Trump repeal the Affordable Care Act. They care about personal decisions, like your own personal reproductive decisions.
Now, this is part of a wide-ranging interview that we did with the governor, covering rhetoric and politics and, for example, how they're working to unify Democrats behind the ticket. You can see more from our interview later on in this program as we join you from the Jill Biden rally on Madison's west side.
Will, thank you very much. Democrats' Wisconsin-heavy focus on blue wall states will continue later this week. The vice president herself will make 3 stops in our state. On Thursday, Harris will speak in Milwaukee, La Crosse, and Green Bay, marking her 6th visit to Wisconsin since becoming the presidential nominee.
And Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul says he expects challenges to the state's elections. In an interview with Upfront, Kaul said he's prepared to defend the results if need be. In a release today, the AG issued a reminder that voter intimidation efforts and threats to election workers are against the law. It reads in part, quote, "It's essential that we protect the right to vote. Wisconsin DOJ is committed to making sure that Wisconsin once again has a safe and secure election." Now, earlier this year, Kaul filed felony charges against Trump attorneys Kenneth Chesbro and Jim Troupis, as well as Trump aide Mike Roman, who helped submit paperwork falsely saying the former president had won the state in 2020. Kaul has not ruled out filing more charges, including against the 10 Republicans who posed as fake electors.
Well, the deadline to request an absentee ballot is coming up. That's on October 31st. To request a ballot, go to myvote.wi.gov and select Vote Absentee by Mail. From there, follow the steps to confirm you are registered and send a ballot to your home. It can take up to 7 days for election officials to process your request and mail out your ballot, so don't wait until the last minute. When you receive your ballot, you should get 3 items: an official ballot, a voting instruction sheet, and a postage-paid ballot envelope. As an absentee voter, you'll need a witness to verify you filled out your own ballot. Now, that person has to be at least 18 and a U.S. citizen. You have to use a black or blue pen when filling out your ballot. If you make a mistake, contact your clerk. When you're done, put the ballot in the envelope and seal it. Both you and your witness have to sign off. Then cast your ballot at your designated absentee ballot return location. You can find all this information on our 3 for the People section on channel3000.com and the Channel 3000 mobile app.
Today marks the 6th straight year Wisconsin is celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day. Wisconsin first started recognizing the holiday in 2019 when Governor Tony Evers signed an executive order designating the second Monday in October as Indigenous Peoples Day. Then in 2021, Governor Evers issued a formal acknowledgement and apology for Wisconsin's historical role in Indian boarding schools. Now, even though the federal government still formally recognizes the holiday as Columbus Day, President Biden issued a formal proclamation recognizing Indigenous peoples' claim to the day in 2021. The president reissued that proclamation every year since.
And the St. Kate Arts Hotel in Milwaukee is hosting an art exhibition presented by Madison-based Arts for All Wisconsin. They're inviting everyone to the reception this week. The exhibition is called The Art of the Family and features works from 30 artists who are all connected to the disability-focused Arts for All Wisconsin. Pieces in the exhibit showcase different artists' interpretations and expressions of their connections with family members. We hear from an artist in the exhibit later at 5. If you're interested in attending, there will be a free reception on Friday night at 7.
Well, coming up next on Live at 4, why President Biden is calling on Congress to get back to work early.
And what a new study says about Americans' use of an opioid reversing drug. We'll be right back.
Nobody wants to replace the roof. But these days, many roofs are only lasting 10 to 15 years, costing you tens of thousands of dollars. RoofMax makes your roof like new by strengthening and rejuvenating it. RoofMax treatments, started early enough, can extend the life of your roof by 15 years or more. And even if you think your roof is at the end of its life, 90% of the time, RoofMax can extend the life of your roof by 5 years at a fraction of the cost of a new roof. So give us a call and we'll give you a free assessment to see if your roof qualifies.
After careful review of medical guidance and research on pain relief, my recommendation is simple. Every home should have Salon Paws. Powerful, yet non-addictive. Targeted and long-lasting. I recommend Salon Paws. It's good medicine.
Join us at the Madison Fall Parade of Homes, exclusively sponsored by Nuns. Don't miss your chance to visit the area's top newly constructed homes filled with the latest trends and technology. Go to MadisonFallParadeOfHomes.com and purchase your tickets today.
Hi, my name is Damian Clark. If you have both Medicare and Medicaid, I have some really encouraging news that you'll definitely want to hear. Depending on the plans available in your area, you may be eligible to get extra benefits with the Humana Medicare Advantage Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan. Most plans include the Humana Healthy Options Allowance, a monthly allowance to help pay for eligible groceries, utilities, rent, and over-the-counter items. The Healthy Options Allowance is loaded onto a prepaid card each month, and whatever you don't spend carries over from each month. Plus, your doctor, hospital, and pharmacy may already be part of our large Humana networks. So call the number on your screen now and ask about a Humana Medicare Advantage Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan. And remember, annual enrollment ends on December 7th. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
Building that middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Compare that to Trump. He fights for himself and his billionaire friends. He intends to enact a national sales tax, the Trump tax, that would raise prices on middle-class families by $4,000 a year. Instead of a tax hike, we will pass a middle-class tax cut that will benefit more than 100 million Americans.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
He murdered a father of 3, sentenced to life in prison. Kamala Harris pushed to use tax dollars to pay for his sex change.
I made sure that they changed the policy so that every transgender inmate would have access.
It sounds insane because it is insane. Kamala was the first to help pay for a prisoner's sex change.
The power that I had, I used it in a way that was about pushing for the movement, frankly, and the agenda.
Kamala's agenda is they, them, not you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. A new batch of lawsuits accuses Sean Diddy Combs of sexually assaulting 6 people, including a minor. The suits accuse Combs of raping women, sexually assaulting men, and molesting a 16-year-old boy. The accusers are part of what their lawyers say is a group of more than 100 alleged victims who are in the process of taking legal action against Combs. He's currently awaiting trial in jail for a federal case accusing Combs of sex trafficking.
The Federal Emergency Management Agency had to pause its aid in several hurricane-impacted areas in North Carolina this weekend because of threats to its employees. Local law enforcement officers arrested someone for allegedly making threats of harm against workers responding to Hurricane Helene. That person's now free on a $10,000 bond. It comes amid a backdrop of misinformation about responses to recent storms. Today, the agency resumed its operations in assisting survivors of the hurricane.
And President Biden is calling for more disaster aid to address damage from Milton and Helene. While touring damage of Florida's St. Pete Beach region, the president announced hundreds of millions of dollars in aid for affected areas. While thanking local officials, first responders, and healthcare workers for their help, Biden says there's more to do and Congress should return to work early to approve more funding for FEMA. But GOP House Speaker Mike Johnson says that won't happen.
States have to assess and calculate the actual needs, and then they submit to Congress that request. As soon as that is done, Congress will meet, and in bipartisan fashion, we will address those needs. We'll provide the additional resources, but it would be premature to call everyone back now because these storms are so large in their scope and magnitude, it's going to take a little bit of time to make those calculations.
Congress isn't scheduled to be back in session until after the election.
An analysis of Hurricane Helene found that climate change increased the storm's rainfall by about 10%. And instead of occurring once every 130 years, storms like Helene are now expected every 53 years. Scientists also say extremely warm water in the Gulf of Mexico caused Milton to go from a Category 1 to 5 hurricane in less than a day. They say climate change made those warm water temps 400 to 800 times more likely.
As overdose deaths in the U.S. decrease, a new study suggests more people are using overdose-reversing medication. From June 2020 to June 2022, nearly 750,000 patients use naloxone, also known as Narcan. Researchers found EMS-documented administration rates declined 6% over that time period. But the percentage of people who used Narcan before EMS arrived increased more than 40%.
The state's Department of Natural Resources is issuing a special fire order across 13 counties in response to the ongoing drought, and that includes Dane County. That means you'll need to get a permit in order to burn a barrel, debris pile, and grass or wooded areas. Now, the DNR says it will keep these permit requirements in place until the drought situation improves significantly. And Alex, will that relief come anytime soon?
Tough question for me. Generally, I like to be the bearer of good news, and I don't have very good news in the rain department, Armand, to answer your question. And southern Wisconsin, we've been mentioning since last week. First, to let you know that elevated fire risk continues. Low humidity, even with cold temperatures out there, that helps maybe a little bit. We have increasing dry fuels, meaning the vegetation is drying up because we're heading further into fall, and because of the drought situation, and we have slim rain chances, if any, across southern Wisconsin. We're tracking a few of those showers tonight, but it's not going to be enough to put a dent in the abnormally dry to moderate drought conditions across all of southern Wisconsin. I anticipate that very likely to continue to expand. Few showers stretching from Beaver Dam down to Watertown, so don't be surprised if you're east of Madison, maybe to get 1 or 2 raindrops. So this area of showers will eventually move a little bit further to the west. So let's eye up here, I-90, 94, I-39, and points off towards the north and towards the west for that chance of a shower overnight. And we can't rule out a flurry or a little bit of sleet as cold air continues to fill into southern Wisconsin, similar to what we've been seeing these past couple of nights. Planning our evening, it's not summer-like anymore across southern Wisconsin. It's chilly. Temperatures all the way down to 40 degrees by the time you join us for our 10 o'clock newscast. A bit of a breeze out there as well. It's tracker temperatures. It will actually be a little bit warmer to the east of Madison, where they have those more persistent clouds and those few showers and maybe a flurry or 2. But where skies can clear out, it's colder. We'll have low to mid-30s from Madison and points off towards the west. Frost is possible, especially west of Madison. All we're going to do again is upper 40s to right around 50 degrees for Tuesday. And then here's when the chilly stuff really builds into southern Wisconsin. Just look at these low temperatures going into Wednesday morning, down to 27 now. Expected in Madison could be a hard freeze where we see those temperatures getting down into the middle 20s, not shockingly in the Wisconsin River Valley. So widespread frost, a hard freeze is expected Tuesday night, and we'll expect more frost Wednesday night as well. We have a frost advisory in effect for areas west of Madison, Richland Center, Viroqua, Boscobel, down to Platte backfill out into Iowa, and that's for tonight going into Tuesday morning. That will be replaced with a freeze warning, as just noted, as our temperatures get down into the mid to upper 20s as we go Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And we have a freeze watch in effect for south central Wisconsin as we anticipate the mercury to go down into the upper 20s. So widespread frost, widespread freeze, which we've been mentioning since last week, is very likely tonight, very likely tomorrow night, and also again on Wednesday night before we go right back up. Look at our temperatures back up into the 70s by the time we get into the weekend. Then we'll work our way back down again behind a cold front and get back into those fall-like temperatures. So up and down, and with the cooler temperatures even further out into that 10-day, once we get past that warm stretch, we'll be looking at another chance for frost across southern Wisconsin. So repeat frost Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and perhaps again through Thursday morning. Then we warm up and then we cool back down later in the 10-day forecast period. But I want to show pretty pictures here with frosty conditions. Usually you start off the morning with clear skies, or at least enough clear skies to allow that frost to form. Thanks, Lynn, so much for sending us this beautiful morning sunrise from Cobb. All you got to do, just like Lynn, I say this often, scan that QR code, then those photos come right to channel3000.com/weather, and then we can show them on TV. What do you think of this, Maddie and Armand?
I love it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thanks, Lynn.
Yeah, thank you, Alex.
You're welcome.
Well, a mission to study Jupiter's moon is underway. NASA launched a spacecraft into orbit after having to delay liftoff due to Hurricane Milton. Now the Europa Clipper spacecraft will serve as NASA's first spacecraft dedicated to studying an ice-covered ocean world within our solar system, with the goal of determining whether it's suited for life. We won't know whether that's the case for a while. The more than $5 billion mission arrives at its destination in the year 2030.
The European Union is condemning Israel's attacks on United Nations peacekeepers in Lebanon. 5 peacekeepers have been wounded since Israel began a ground campaign against Hezbollah. Israel alleges the UN was keeping peacekeepers there to obstruct military operations against Hezbollah. The EU's condemnation comes a day after President Biden says he's asked the Israeli military to stop targeting the peacekeepers. Lebanon's prime minister says the attacks are a potential war crime.
Federal officials say there's no evidence the man arrested before a Donald Trump rally Saturday had intentions to kill the former president. Deputies stopped 49-year-old Ben Miller while driving an SUV with fake plates after he made it through the first 2 perimeters of security in Coachella, California. They found he had multiple driver's licenses, passports with different names, a loaded handgun, a shotgun, and ammunition. Police detained Miller, who's now out on bail. He'll be back in court in January.
And Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign has a new set of economic policy proposals out aimed at black men. In a live interview with media host Roland Martin, Harris proposed removing medical debt from credit scores, putting more money into HBCUs, and touted having the lowest rate of black unemployment in recent history. The VP also proposed forgivable loans to black entrepreneurs, a health initiative tackling conditions that disproportionately affect black men, and legalizing recreational marijuana. Meanwhile, Trump is escalating threats against his potential opponents.
We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
All of this as polling suggests the race is neck and neck.
And not only is that race tightening, CBS Director of Elections and Surveys Anthony Salvanto says voters have completely different sets of beliefs about what's happening in our country.
That's right. We asked him how talk about hurricane relief efforts reveal that division.
It's a great example. It cuts across a lot of issues, from the hurricane to the economy to the border. But let me start there. When you ask voters, Harris voters, Trump voters, where do you think the FEMA relief aid is going? 9 in 10 Harris voters say they think it's going to people impacted by the hurricane. But you see 2/3 of Trump voters feel that it is not. And then you get a little more specific. You may recall Donald Trump's claims that aid had been diverted to people who are not in the country legally. And those claims are accepted as true by 8 in 10 of his voters, whereas 9 in 10 Harris voters say those claims certainly or probably false. That's just one example of these very different beliefs about what's happening. And I mentioned the economy, so I'm just going to add that to show you some context. It doesn't just apply to the hurricane relief. take a look at the differences. 2/3 of Harris voters saying they think the economy is good. They're more likely to say that the U.S. has added jobs, that the stock market is up, whereas 9 in 10 Trump voters say the economy is bad, and they're less likely to describe it or say those things. So again, different viewpoints about what's happening in the country, not just about who should be elected or what should happen going forward, guys.
So we're in a swing state of Wisconsin. Race has always been close here, but I hear that the swing states can really throw a wrench in the whole outcome.
Well, I'll show you our latest CBS News estimates. Let me punch that up there, okay? One after another in the battleground states, including Wisconsin, we have an effectively even race. And that's true across all the states that will likely decide, as you mentioned, this race in the Electoral College. You tell everybody, national polls are great, but if you want to know how the race will ultimately come out, pay attention to those Electoral College votes, and that's where we've got a dead even race. Now, the other thing about looking forward is, and this has to do with a lot I talked about with beliefs and what people think, when we ask people confidence in the election system, we see Trump voters much more likely than Harris voters to say that they believe there will be widespread fraud in 2024. And where that plays out is that when you follow up and say, okay, well, what should the campaigns do after the votes are counted? And you see that Donald Trump's voters are more likely to say that his camp should challenge the results if the other side wins, more likely than Harris voters to say that. What that does is it sets up something to watch, not just as we get to Election Day, but what do these different beliefs mean for how voters think that the campaigns should conduct, should do things after the votes are counted as we go forward beyond Election Day, guys.
Anthony, always very insightful. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
And still ahead on Live at 4, Will Loper reviews 2 movies at the box office this past weekend.
Whether they're worth seeing when we come back.
At Harker Heating and Cooling, you can save a whole bunch of money when you buy a furnace. You know what's even better? Saving even more money when you purchase a furnace and an air conditioner at the same time.
Harker Heating and Cooling.
Sometimes the smallest cracks can cause the biggest chills. And something sinister is lurking in the shadows.
What was that?
To survive, they must seal their fate.
Not working.
With Feldco.
50% off Windows ends soon. Come now.
This fall, watch out for The Draft.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Don't mind me. I'm just the flu. I'm quite harmless, really. And when people ask, but aren't you linked to dangerous flu complications like pneumonia, heart attack, and hospitalizations? I just say, but I'm just the flu.
It's him.
Who? I'm just the flu.
Demand more from your flu shot. Sanofi higher dose flu vaccines are proven to provide better flu protection than standard dose flu shots in older adults. They've even been shown to better protect against flu-related complications.
Don't get Fluzone high dose if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its components, including egg products, or after previous dose of flu vaccine. Don't get Flu Block if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its components. Tell your healthcare professional if you've had severe muscle weakness after a flu shot. Fainting has occurred. People with weakened immune systems may have a lower vaccine response.
All flu shots are not the same. Ask for a Sanofi higher dose flu vaccine. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about Fluzone high dose or Flu Block.
In 2016, Donald Trump said he would choose only the best people to work in his White House. Now those people have a warning for America. Trump is not fit to be president again. Here's his vice president.
Anyone who puts himself over the Constitution should never be president of the United States.
I cannot in good conscience endorse Donald Trump this year.
His defense secretary.
Do you think Trump can be trusted with the nation's secrets ever again?
No. I mean, it's just irresponsible action that places our service members at risk, places our nation's security at risk.
His national security advisor.
Donald Trump will cause a lot of damage. The only thing he cares about is Donald Trump.
And the nation's former highest-ranking military officer.
We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator.
Take it from the people who knew him best. Donald Trump is too big a risk for America.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
At Harker Heating and Cooling, you can save a whole bunch of money when you buy a furnace. You know what's even better? Saving even more money when you purchase a furnace and an air conditioner at the same time.
Harker Heating and Cooling.
Well, this weekend there were 2 clown-themed movies at the box office.
And one was certainly more successful than the other. Will Loper has a full review in today's Loper Report.
Hey, Armin and Maddie. It was a battle between clowns at the box office this past weekend, and Joker Folie à Deux lost to Terrifier 3.
Do you still think you're a star?
The Joker sequel is an all-out box office disaster, as it fell more than 80% in its second weekend.
Let's give the people what they want.
While the extremely R-rated third Terrifier movie surprised with $18 million for a first-place win. Also new in theaters and opening to 7th place is the new film, Saturday Night.
Look, my name is Lorne Michaels. I'm the producer of Saturday Night.
The whole night?
Yeah, the whole night.
The film follows Lorne Michaels attempting to bring to air the first ever episode of Saturday Night Live on October 11th, 1975.
We're just not ready. Doesn't matter that we're ready. It matters that it's 11:30. That's when we go on.
Lorne has to contend with breaking stage lights, the egos of comedians vying for the spotlight, a stubborn John Belushi who won't sign his contract, and a network who wants to air a Johnny Carson rerun instead.
They want you to fail. They're betting on it.
The movie moves at a breakneck pace, barely letting the audience breathe as it overwhelms Michaels with problem after problem.
You haven't locked the script. Your actors are missing.
Have you seen John Belushi?
Your crew is in open rebellion.
However, as a film, it's endlessly engaging and entertaining.
What is this?
That was kind of exciting.
Even if it plays with many of the facts of real life, like Willem Dafoe's character, who is portrayed as the network antagonist in the film, in reality was actually always on board with the show.
Your kids aren't ready for prime time.
Saturday Night is a light, fun time at the movies and is definitely worth seeing.
We just have to make it to air.
For Live at 4, I'm Will Loper.
Live from New York.
Ooh, suspenseful.
That one looks good.
2 movies with clowns, I think, is 2 movies too much. Does anyone even like clowns?
Okay, they are marketed as these like fun birthday party people. I don't know anyone who likes them.
Yeah, me neither.
Unless I'm wrong.
No, I've never seen one at a birthday party, and if I was there, I'd leave. That's it.
Whoever's marketing clowns is doing a good job.
Yeah, the PR campaign of clowns has to really step it up a little bit.
Yeah, they're nailing it. But
well, when we're back, Will Keneally is live from Jill Biden's campaign stop in Madison.
Plus, why birds are waiting longer before heading south when we come back.
Shop the largest selection of Chevy trucks and SUVs in Wisconsin at Bergstrom Chevrolet. Lease a new Silverado 1500 starting at $355 a month, or a 24 Equinox EV starting at $299 a month. Stop in or shop and purchase at BergstromMadison.com.
Kamala Harris is going to significantly raise taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
Kamala's plan will raise families' taxes by nearly $2,600 a year. Under Kamala, prices have already soared. Now she'd make it worse with even higher taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
President Trump will cut taxes again. No taxes on tips, overtime, or Social Security.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Joan Baldwin wants to ban abortion, even in cases of rape, incest, and when the mother's life is at risk.
And would jail doctors who perform them.
Baldwin voted to ban birth control, too, and to deny rape victims emergency contraception.
Banning all abortions and birth control? No one wants to tell you what to do with your body
more than Joan Baldwin.
But she can't tell you what to do with your vote.
Fentanyl is one of the most lethal drugs on the market. This much can kill thousands. These deadly drugs are pouring across our border. But Biden, Harris, and Democrats have done nothing to stop it. Tammy Baldwin claims she's trying, but she's failed. She took credit for an anti-fentanyl bill she didn't write and opposed efforts to secure the border. Senator Baldwin and Democrats have done nothing, and our communities are paying the price.
I'm Eric Hovde. I approve this message.
Here's the secret worth sharing. Robertson, Wisconsin's aesthetic leader, has nurses that specialize in custom treatment plans. Always natural, never overfilled. Time to learn how aging is different at Robertson.
Prices are up, wages are down. Inflation is crushing Wisconsin families. Yet Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Even more radical, Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. Tax hikes and higher prices for families and those living on fixed incomes. That's Kieski's record. Expensive and extreme. Reject Sarah Kieski and her radical agenda.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Oh, very nice. What is that, corn?
Very nice.
Crops.
What could that possibly be? Crops. That works.
Very nice.
Our weather words are hard freeze on the way. Alex, I do not like the sound of that.
I was trying to figure out, too, what kind of crops we were looking at. I have to go like this and look really closely. Yeah, hard freeze is on the way. Par for course for this time of year. Our friend Braden was mentioning last week, I want the fall-like weather, and I said, wait till Monday. And here we are, very fall-like, definitely different feel across southern Wisconsin. Remember, we were in the low 80s last Friday. Now we're struggling to get to 50 degrees across southern Wisconsin. Many areas still in the middle 40s. Let's do a little camera tour across southern Wisconsin. Our Queen Bee Radio Skycam showing very fall-like conditions in Platteville. The dark skies, colors are starting to change. Crops are being harvested across southern Wisconsin. Our Dodgeville, Upland Hills Skycam also showing those fall-like skies with fall colors building in, and also the harvest ongoing across southern Wisconsin. And we make our way east to Madison here, courtesy of Upland Hills again. 50 degrees, northwest breezes at 12 miles per hour. That puts that extra chill. I got my Channel 3 jacket on. This is the first time I've worn a jacket out on the patio. Definitely since last spring. Can't recall a time I've worn a jacket since probably May of last year, maybe even April. Frost advisories in effect. This is for tonight. West of Madison, where we'll be looking at some patchy frost. A good chance of a hard freeze, widespread frost Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning west of Madison, and those conditions could extend as far east as Madison and areas in south central Wisconsin, as we expect the mercury to dip as cold as the middle 20s across parts of southern Wisconsin. Coming up, though, in our main weather after we plan our evening, it'll be a chilly evening with fall-like readings. We'll talk about those cold temperatures, when they end, when you can expect 70-degree weather to return back to southern Wisconsin. We're going to go right back to summer-like conditions.
All right, Alex, thank you. On the campaign trail, it's a busy day for Democrats. VP candidate Tim Walz is in northern Wisconsin, and Jill Biden is holding an event here in Madison.
That's where we find political reporter Will Keneally, who has more from his exclusive sit-down with Tim Walz. Hey, Will.
That's right. It's a wide-ranging interview touching on his plans for campaigning, especially in the Midwest, as he has squaring off against another Midwesterner, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. Now, I actually caught up with Walz after this past weekend. He was out pheasant hunting for the Minnesota opener there. Now, talking about this idea of appealing to rural voters, which have traditionally been in the Republican column, we asked him how he plans to persuade those voters to vote Democratic. Take a listen.
What would your pitch be for those rural voters to vote Democrat?
Yeah, well, our policies are the ones that are going to benefit you. Donald Trump wanted to cut things, especially the farm programs. His horrific tariffs will have a bigger impact on rural. And the issues like education. He's talking about voucherizing schools. Where are you going to find a private school in small communities in western Wisconsin?
Now we'll have more from our interview throughout the newscasts tonight. You can also see the full version up online right now at channel3000.com. And we'll continue to provide you updates here from this event here in Madison, where we're expecting Jill Biden within the next couple of hours here. But for now, reporting on Madison's west side, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
And Will, when you were talking with Tim Walz, what did he say about his debate with J.D. Vance?
That's right. So we asked him a little bit about essentially what was surprising about that was how kind of calm and decorum they expressed during that debate. Now, he says to his perspective at least, kind of just touches on the Midwestern niceness there. So again, we'll continue to have more from that conversation. We'll hear a little bit more from him on that debate specifically coming up tonight at 5.
And, you know, obviously a big Democratic talking point. Did he mention that January 6th attack on the Capitol at all?
Not so much, but again, you know, that issue of kind of political rhetoric certainly has been ratcheting up within the last couple of years. He again saying that, you know, it was kind of refreshing essentially that he and J.D. Vance were able to kind of calm down the temperatures and debate on the issues there.
All right, Will, thank you so much. And Wall Street ended higher today as investors bought into technology stocks. The Dow gained 201 points, closing above 43,000 for the first time. The Nasdaq gained 159, and the S&P was up 82, closing at a record high.
Well, you may have felt the dip in temperatures over the weekend, and so too have many of Wisconsin's birds, which are now en route to warmer areas of the U.S.
News 3 Now's Kyle Pozorski spoke with a bird expert today about the busy migration.
The birds are on the move, heading south ahead of winter. According to tracking website Birdcast, more than 519,000 crossed Dane County alone Sunday night into Monday morning.
About 3/4 of the birds that breed in Wisconsin migrate. So it's a big deal.
Stan Temple, a professor emeritus in conservation at UW, tells News 3 Now that right now is the peak migration time for birds here in southern Wisconsin, when food becomes scarce for our feathered friends.
During the month of October is when there's a lot of movement going on. Some birds are leaving Wisconsin to head for more southerly places for the winter. Other birds are coming to Wisconsin from further north and will be spending the winter with us. Migration really is a critical thing for a lot of the birds that are associated with Wisconsin. They've got to get it right.
While migration is critical for Wisconsin birds, Temple says many more are sticking around longer due to changes in our climate and later winters. In Madison, Kyle Pozorski, News 3 Now.
Kyle, thank you. Those interested in seeking out some of the birds during this peak time should look to marshes, lakes, and rivers.
And it's those spots where you'll find many flocking to and using as a staging area ahead of the nighttime migration. We'll be right back.
Are undocumented immigrants that are the least likely to commit a crime.
Meet Edwin Ramos. This illegal immigrant murdered 3 Americans. An MS-13 gang member, Ramos was arrested for a gun crime. But as DA, Kamala didn't prosecute him. Months later, Ramos murdered a man and his 2 sons in cold blood.
Are undocumented immigrants that are the least likely to commit a crime.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I can honestly say that Cardinal has never let me down.
Cardinal is the place to go for any type of work that you need done around your home.
The kindness, the efficiency, you know, the professionalism, the respect was amazing.
We were very impressed with their cleanliness.
I definitely recommend Cardinal Heating and Air Conditioning because of the professionalism, the communication they provided.
Cardinal will always be my first call for anything that Cardinal does.
I think we're going to continue to use Cardinal for a long time.
When you have a history of greatness, the real challenge starts after the finish line. When victory alone isn't enough, you keep dreaming and go beyond what's possible. The Ridgeline, Passport, and Pilot. Part of our most rugged lineup yet.
Get an 11% rebate today when you shop at Menards. Mastercraft makes great doors inside and out. Choose from our great in-stock selection or design your door your way with our free step-by-step design program. This pre-finished 6-panel interior door is $119.99 after rebate. Keep dirt and debris out of your home with Apache Mills doormats. They have skid-resistant backing and are easy to clean. Get this doormat for $5.99 after 11% rebate.
Save big money at Menards.
Technology is everywhere, and our kids are embracing it to learn, play, and socialize. But with endless ways to access the digital world, monitoring their screen time can be tough. So SSM Health and News 3 Now created the Time for Kids Digital Playbook. Join us on air and online for stories and strategies to help your family navigate, set rules, and stay safe in the ever-evolving digital age. Let's focus on tech together by taking Time for Kids.
New at 5 in an exclusive interview, we sit down with Vice Presidential candidate Tim Walz. From his vision for the country to the challenges ahead, we take a closer look at the pressing issues in this election.
Tonight starts a series of nights where frost potential for southern Wisconsin is very likely. How many nights we will have frost this week and when we can expect temperatures back up into the 70s at 5.
And ahead at 6, for 6 generations, a local family has passed down their legacy. We take you to their family farm where a new generation is already learning the ropes. That's tonight at 6.
Well, this afternoon, we're taking you to a family whose farm has lasted over a century.
Wow, our Merrill Hubbard is in Mineral Point to show us how this family continues their farming legacy.
Out here in Mineral Point, 800 acres of this land have stayed in the White family farm for 6 generations. And now we're meeting the 7th generation destined to take it over. The White family farm started in 1864. It's always been a cattle farm, but now they also harvest grains as well. Robert White is the CEO of the family business, and his son Kirk is working to step into that role. Kirk has grown up here for the past 26 years, eventually introducing his wife to life on the farm.
I'll take some slabs.
After learning the ropes from his father, he is now teaching the 7th generation who are destined to take over the family business one day.
I don't have to push anything on them. If they want to come up to the farm, they're more than welcome to come up and ride in a tractor, ride in the combine, help fence around the buildings, around the pastures. It is pretty rewarding that they want to keep coming up here and doing what me and my father do.
Their oldest son is 4 years old and loves going out to combine with his family. His mom says that learning how to manage chores and the cattle has given her sons a greater understanding of what it means to work.
They get to experience so much more. Like, it's hands-on, and yes, you can do a lot in the city, but it's just totally different. I think it's great to see how it's not just on a shelf. You don't just go to the store and buy Cheerios. It's like the process behind it.
Though it may be at least another 15 years, it looks like the White farm has a promising future.
Merrill, thank you. In the 608, we're helping celebrate historic apple trees in Sauk Prairie.
Yeah, the lands of the former Badger Army Ammunition Plant, originally territory of the Ho-Chunk Nation, were settled by Sauk Prairie farmers in the 1800s. In early 1942, more than 70 farm families were displaced to build the plant, and now it's gone, but the land is being reclaimed in various ways. Volunteers at the Sauk Prairie Conservation Alliance are propagating historic apple trees that survived on the Badger lands, and some of these historic trees have been transplanted to the Sauk Prairie Hospital campus.
This community, like every community, has difficult times in its past, but this is a simple way of healing those historic wounds. Apples are also good for you.
And the Sauk Prairie Healthcare Foundation says this planting was a thank you for their supporters. A tree is a symbol of life, and this apple is a symbol of health, so it's appropriate that the foundation support this effort. To learn more about how you can support the cause, just go to this story on channel3000.com. And still to come on Live at 4, luxury with a little kick.
Harvey Briggs takes us behind the wheel of the turbocharged and electrified Mercedes 2024 AMG GLC 43.
Kamala Harris is going to significantly raise taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up.
Kamala's plan will raise families' taxes by nearly $2,600 a year. Under Kamala, prices have already soared. Now she'd make it worse with even higher taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up.
President Trump will cut taxes again. No taxes on tips, overtime, or Social Security.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Meet Sarah Kieski. You might see her walking around in her Woke Genius t-shirt. Radical, just like the groups that support her. Kieski supporters want to defund the police. Her allies want to give voting rights to illegals and make it easier for felons to vote. And Kieski is backed by a group that wants to let criminals out early. Want to know where Sarah Kieski stands? Just look at the company she keeps.
These Baldwin ads are nasty.
I can't stand them.
She never tells the truth. Now she says Eric Hovde wants to raise the retirement age.
That's malarkey.
I saw in the news Social Security will be going bankrupt in 8 years.
Are you kidding? We need Social Security.
You're surprised? Washington spends money like crazy.
and Baldwin supports all of it.
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message.
You better get a job.
You get a job.
Discover a level of comfort you never thought possible. Discover stressless seating at the Century House. Designed to harmonize with your body's natural movements, it's the premier destination for relaxation and rejuvenation. Right now, take 10% off all stressless recliners, sofas, tables, and ottomans. The Century House, 3420 University Avenue in Madison.
My name is Bill. I am retired. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I live here in Wisconsin. I am not a political person, but Eric Hovde doesn't understand how important Social Security and Medicare are around here. I'm on Social Security, and Hovde said he absolutely supported cuts to Social Security and Medicare. Imagine working longer, paying into the system, and then poof, you're paying your bills with less. He knows it. Cutting Social Security and Medicare will cost us. He just doesn't care.
WinSenate is responsible for the content of this message.
I'm Joan Ballwig, and here at the shop we have solutions both big and small. And that's why I fought in Madison for historically large increases for our fire, police, and EMS, and made sure that our small businesses had the permits that they needed to operate. I delivered millions for ag and rural road funding and created the one-day fishing license. I brought both sides together to make sure that our kids can both read and write. And those are both really big things, but you get the idea.
Well, Harvey Briggs often takes us behind the wheel of some luxurious rides and others you might see on the racetrack or dirt roads.
But this week, we hopped into a vehicle that combines both prestige and performance. The 2024 Mercedes-AMG GLC 43.
This is the 2024 AMG GLC 43. The AMG badging, of course, is Mercedes' performance division, and it's also the name of their Formula One team. So you get a little bit of that technology in this vehicle as well. This version of the GLC is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. It's turbocharged, and it also is electrified. It has that hybrid boost to it. The hybrid here is not so much for fuel economy as it is to improve performance, similar to their Formula One race cars.
Ooh. Okay.
So it's pretty quick for a 4-cylinder engine car.
Pretty quick.
416 horsepower, which is crazy enough. But if you want, you can get the AMG 63 version of this, and that has a 670 horsepower V8 inside of it. This is basically their mid-size performance crossover coupe. And, you know, you see the shape of this where it has more of a tapered rear end. It's really designed to be their sporty SUV. So
you can tell by the red seatbelts.
Of course, yeah. You know, you can't go fast without the red seatbelts, and you can't go fast without all these drive mode settings that you have. So you know, you can put it in comfort mode, and this thing will drive fairly normally, but you can move up into sport setting and Sport Plus setting, and at each of these settings it adjusts the engine settings, the suspension settings, the brake settings.
I was looking for all these controls here. This steering wheel just looks like wild. Tell me a little about it.
Yeah, it is interesting. You've got 2 sets of controls on each side of the steering wheel. This top control controls the center screen. So I can do all, you know, scroll through the center screen and do everything here, or I can reach over and touch it if I want to. But this is a nice way to do it without having to take your hands off the steering wheel. So this over here is for the dash instrument panel, and you can change actually what you want on the instrument panel here. So like I could go into off-road mode if I wanted to, and it'll show me all the important things like tip angle and direction and things like that. So there's a lot of options that you can do through this. And then down below, you've got your controls for the radio, for the phone, and over here, cruise control and all your driver assist functions as well. And then down here, you have drive mode settings that you can change, and you can change them individually here just by clicking over on this one as well. So I can go from a regular exhaust note to a sport exhaust note, and we can all have a little fun accelerating. A little more growl. It's really interesting, all the technology in these cars now and what they do and what they allow you to do with the car.
Okay, so that's kind of what I would expect the inside of a spaceship to look like, with all the different options. Who is this car for?
Well, it's funny. It's really for somebody who wants everything in a car, because you can take this car on road, you could take it off road, you could take it to the racetrack and have a little fun with it if you wanted to on that. It's for someone who likes to show off a little bit because of that shape, and obviously that Mercedes emblem on the front makes a bit of a statement.
That's for you showing off.
Yeah, and it really, yeah, I would like to show this one off. And like even the seats, I remember they hugged you like, for those tight turns.
Right, that's very much a performance seat. So and the fabric on them is also designed to hold you in place. It's almost like a synthetic suede. So when you sit in it, you don't move around, you don't slide like you would on leather. So yeah, pretty cool little car.
And it's good to keep you from sliding when you're driving. You went on the racetrack this weekend, didn't you?
I spent a little time in California with a new Subaru that they let us have some fun with on the Sonoma Raceway. So yeah, that was a good day.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Harvey, thanks for joining us.
Great, thank you guys.
Alex, would you drive that car?
I knew you were going to ask that question, but I know a better person to ask that question to. That'd be 102-year-old Grandma Harrington. She'd love to get behind those wheels, and she only knows 2 speeds, stop and then pedal to the metal. And I think that vehicle would do a good job with that. We were tracking a couple showers out near Waterloo. Those showers have since moved off towards the east. These are those fall-like showers behind that weather system where we have that cold air funneling in. Future track bringing those showers from the east and northeast, south and west. It's cool out there. It's warm enough, though, that this is all in the form of rain. But I wouldn't be surprised tonight to see a little bit of grapple or a little bit of sleet or a little bit of flurry activity, but no accumulation is expected. Fall-like readings tonight, down to 40 degrees by the time we get to 10 o'clock. Bit of a breeze in the air. Temperatures ranging from the mid-30s to start off your Tuesday morning to the upper 30s. Then as we go into Tuesday afternoon, high temperatures up near 50 degrees and then dipping back down. This will probably be the coldest of the next couple of nights. We'll see those temperatures falling all the way into the mid to upper 20s across all of southern Wisconsin as we wake up into Wednesday morning. That's what's prompting the frost advisory tonight. West of Madison, freeze warnings tomorrow night. West of Madison, wouldn't be surprised tomorrow night to have freeze warnings for south central Wisconsin as well. We'll be right back.
We're still going for that nice catch.
We're still going for that perfect pizza. And with higher stroke risk from AFib not caused by a heart valve problem,
we're going for a better treatment than warfarin. Eliquis. Eliquis reduces stroke risk and has less major bleeding. Over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke.
Don't stop taking Eliquis without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and, in rare cases, fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve or abnormal bleeding. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. Get help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising. It may increase your bleeding risk if you take certain medicines. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures.
The #1 cardiologist prescribed blood thinner. Ask your doctor about Eliquis.
Peter Barca dishonored our service and America's commitment to veterans.
And Congress, Barca voted to cut our benefits, impacting our lives, our families. It's just wrong.
It's just wrong.
Veterans can't trust career politicians like Peter Barca, and neither can you.
Brian Stile will always work to protect veterans like me.
Brian is not a career politician, he's a fighter, and he's always working for us.
I'm Brian Stile, and I approve this message.
He murdered a father of 3, sentenced to life in prison. Kamala Harris pushed to use tax dollars to pay for his sex change.
I made sure that they changed the policy so that
every transgender inmate would have access.
It sounds insane because it is insane. Kamala was the first to help pay for a prisoner's sex change.
The power that I had, I used it in a way that was about pushing for the movement, frankly, and the agenda.
Kamala's agenda is they, them, not you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Building that middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Compare that to Trump. He fights for himself and his billionaire friends. He intends to enact a national sales tax, the Trump tax, that would raise prices on middle-class families by $4,000 a year. Instead of a tax hike, we will pass a middle-class tax cut that will benefit more than 100 million Americans.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
Take a look at this. One Colorado firefighter is great at growing gigantic gourds. The prize pumpkin weighing in at a whopping 2,083 pounds.
Absolutely smashing Colorado state records. The name of the plump pumpkin is Winifred Sanderson, after Bette Midler's character in Disney's iconic Halloween movie Hocus Pocus. It sure put a spell on everybody that came to see it, I'm sure.
Nice one.
Thank you. I tried. We'll be right back.
At Harker Heating and Cooling, you can save a whole bunch of money when you buy a furnace. You know what's even better? Saving even more money when you purchase a furnace and an air conditioner at the same time.
Harker Heating and Cooling.
COVID-19. I'm not waiting. If it's COVID, Paxlovid.
Paxlovid is an oral treatment for adults with mild to moderate COVID-19 and a high risk factor for it becoming severe. It does not prevent COVID-19.
My symptoms are mild now, but I'm not risking it. If it's COVID, Paxlovid.
Paxlovid must be taken within the first 5 days of symptoms and help stop the virus from multiplying in your body.
Taking Paxlovid with certain medicines can lead to serious or life-threatening side effects or affect how it or other medicines work, including hormonal birth control. It's critical to tell your doctor about all the medicines you take because certain tests or changes in their dosage may be needed. Tell your doctor if you have kidney or liver problems, HIV-1, are or plan to become pregnant or breastfeed. Don't take Paxlovid if you're allergic to nirmatrelvir, ritonavir, or any of its ingredients. Serious side effects can include allergic reactions, some severe, like anaphylaxis, and liver problems. These are not all the possible side effects, so talk to your doctor.
If it's COVID, Paxlovid. Ask your doctor today.
4 years ago, rioters set this Minneapolis police station on fire, trying to burn me and my fellow police officers alive. Governor Tim Walz left us for dead. And Kamala Harris?
This is a movement, I'm telling you. Everyone beware. They're not going to let up, and they should not.
She raised millions to help bail rioters out of jail and supported defunding the police. Kamala sold cops out and put families at risk. Kamala Harris is too weak and too dangerous to be president.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
He murdered a father of 3, sentenced to life in prison. Kamala Harris pushed to use tax dollars to pay for his sex change.
I made sure that they changed the policy so that every transgender inmate would have access.
It sounds insane because it is insane. Kamala was the first to help pay for a prisoner's sex change.
The power that I had, I used it in a way that was about pushing for the movement, frankly, and the agenda.
Kamala's agenda is they, them, not you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
At Harker Heating and Cooling, you can save a whole bunch of money when you buy a furnace. You know what's even better? Saving even more money when you purchase a furnace and an air conditioner at the same time.
Harker Heating and Cooling.
Well, that wraps up today's Live at 4, our month in the newsroom with what's coming up.
Tomorrow on Live at 4, mushrooms are in snacks, broths, supplements, and even coffee and tea. Consumer Reports looks at its newfound